Thank you, Laurent. I would now like to introduce you to Kevin Suhu, Technical Director of Sprint's Advanced Analytic Lab.
Good morning. I know it's been kind of a long stretch here. I'm going to try to sort of pull together what we've heard so far and place a context around it and maybe give some suggestions for the path into the future. Internet of Things was how this topic was introduced by my colleague from AT&T, and we're sort of now into the monetization opportunities. I come from Sprint. I run the Advanced Analytics Lab there. We're the third largest carrier in the United States, a leading company in this space. M2M in particular and connected vehicle is an area that we, and I think Chris's words, see as really the fourth wave. We think it's a huge opportunity, and where we're sort of pinning our hopes as well on where we're going to on the future. We've heard a lot today about how this is going to work, the embedded devices, the SIM, how it's going to be enabled. We've heard a lot of specific use cases, particularly from Tom, on how data and the Internet of Things can be put together to derive value for the consumer. But really, I want to try and lift us out of that level of the immediate and sort of look at where we're headed and what is the context in which all of this is occurring. And so I want to start with a quote from Stephen Bai, our CTO at Sprint, that just to sort of envision where the future is for us. You'll see augmented reality, real-time natural language translation, streaming video, facial recognition, secure remote access, intelligent presence, voice, visual, movement-based pattern recognition, mobile concierge, biomedical monitoring, multi-party streaming video, and more, all made possible by the robust, intelligent, fast, and brilliant network. But that is really a mouthful, but it sort of gives you an idea that the world is going to change quite a bit, and it's going to be very different than the one that we see today. And it's going to all be part of this whole Internet of Things. And we've heard 75 billion. I mean, we've heard lots of numbers, but the one that I got for 2018 is really to make the point that of all the devices and connected devices we think of today, Internet of Things is going to eclipse that within the next, 5 years. And on the data side, we can expect a similar kind of growth. Automotive data, this is the case study that I think we've heard quite extensively today. But you can see between now, where we're looking at maybe 480 terabytes of data collected, growing to 11.1 petabytes by 2020. And similarly, by the data ingest rate, to the network issues that are going to be discussed later, and then the value creation that's going to come with it. Also growing by orders of magnitude. And back to that whole idea of the context changing. And this was really an eye-opener for me when I saw it. You know, it took 75 years for the telephone to reach 50 million users. It took Angry Birds 35 days. That's a speed, an accelerated speed that it's mind-blowing, right? And at this point, you know, my kid, this is going to be her expectation. That's really the difference. You know, when she thinks of, my daughter is 6. She doesn't know what a telephone looks like. To her, a phone is my iPhone, which means she uses it to play games. She uses it to watch videos. The idea that it was only meant for voice communication or that it was yellow and had a rotary dial on it, she's never seen that. And so that new generation is going to have a very different set of expectations, a very different set of use cases and business models that will come out of it. And we have to be ready for it. And that really sort of leads us into into Henry Ford, going back to Henry Ford. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Well, in very much the same way, if we ask people today, steeped in their businesses, what do you want today? What is it that you would want? Well, they'd say they wanted faster horses. So I put this up not really to bag on Volvo or Teradata, but really to sort of illustrate, I think we've heard in many respects use cases like this, where big data, automotive space come together and connected, the connected vehicle come together to solve a problem. But it's very much steeped in the business of today. What is it that we want to try and do? Well, we want to understand mechanical performance and how the vehicle drives, the design, and that affect how we build the product and how it functions. And then we can save money and maybe improve performance. So very much single line, data from the vehicle, analytics on top of it, solving the vehicle or the manufacturer's problem today. But really, to what Tom was saying earlier, the value for big data, the value for the Internet of Things is going to come not really from that sort of single line, single industry, one focused view, but really by taking data outside of its context, by moving it away from just that one line to then servicing many. And I think his shoes example was a good piece of that. But we see right now across industries, everything from apparently the Tesco in the grocery store business to Pinsight Media at Sprint, and across most of the telecoms, MasterCard, Vodafone, et cetera. Other companies starting to move in this direction of saying, look, we have data from one source, but it can be applied in many other places. Just to give a couple of examples, at Sprint, we're using our data on an opt-in basis in mobile advertising. We're using aggregated anonymized data to help inform market research and location-based insights. Telefonica Smart Steps, same sort of location-based insights work. Precision marketing out of Verizon. Vodafone's investment in FinSphere, really around authentication. So again, coming completely out of the context of where their data originated, moving it into a new world. And so where are these opportunities coming? And again, understand this is from that narrow sort of I can only see so far point of view, because I don't have that framework that the next generation will have for how things will look. But you can see, as we've heard about earlier, usage-based insurance, so insurance telematics, very much taking that data out of the automotive wireless space, putting it into insurance, intelligent transport. We have a couple, we live and work in Silicon Valley. There's a number of research shops, BMW, looking at how do we connect vehicles and streets together to make the intelligent highway work. And then, of course, there's the Google experiment on the intelligent highway going on down the street. Mobility services, predictive modeling, very much a big data area. We expect understanding, taking all of that data that's coming in and understanding not only how it affects the single line industry that it originated, but also applying it elsewhere to understand better how people will behave and predictions of where they're going. And then, of course, location-based services that we've sort of seen a couple of good examples of already today. So how does one address this? And this is sort of getting into the practical aspects. How do you take a look and address these kinds of opportunities? And because they are so varied and they sit outside of the expertise of any one shop, at Sprint, we really think that we need an ecosystem around us. We are not smart enough to know that we can do everything. And so this is just from the connected vehicle and Pinsight side of the house, where we're going. And you look at the range of players around us and who we're working with. It's mind-blowing. We would have never, I don't think if I had taken this slide back 10 years, nobody at Sprint would have believed we would be working with so many different players in the way that we're working today. Technologically, one needs a platform. This is where the operators or whoever the data stewards are in that ecosystem have to be able to take that raw data and, using Tom's pyramid, take that raw data, move it through the information phase, and create knowledge out of it. And so this is the stack that we have for the Connected Vehicle program, again, as an illustration, where you have that global connectivity brought in from the phone, combining with your applications and content and analysis, and then creating intelligent data out of it. And so a word about that new world. You know, a study was done, we conducted, kind of looking at what that expectations are of the new generation. And intuitive certainly comes to mind, right? The entire iPad, iPhone, touchscreen revolution you know, touchscreen computing had been around for decades before the iPad came out, but converting it and turning it into that and creating that intuitive interface has now become the reason it became the revolution it became, and that is now expected, right? The next generation expects that. That's not a wow. That's a great new innovation. That's just sort of taken for granted. Anticipatory, contextual, and proactive. This is really where big data starts to play in a big way. Taking all the data that's streaming out of these devices and being able to anticipate and predict what's going to be next or what's going to be necessary is the challenge for the data, big data analytics. And then, of course, making it adaptive, making it real time. And that's sort of the next wave, I would say, where you're not just taking sort of that, as Tom was mentioning earlier, where data is sort of loaded, and in retrospect, we sort of understand how things are going, but making it real time so that the systems can adapt to behavior. And so that really leaves, in conclusion, for all of us in this room, to establish where we're going to play in this chain, this value chain. Whether you're going to be at the bottom end, collecting that raw data, producing it, generating and then transporting it, are you going to be at the processing stage where you're going to combine it, analyze it, start developing some insight, move into that insight phase and really market and sell those insights, present it out to the end customers, or manage that transaction at the top where you have the relationship. And I think as we look, as they were discussing earlier about billing and holding that relationship with a consumer, there's a lot of value to be derived from that kind of relationship. So understanding where you're strong and where you can play is going to be key to the future. Thank you very much. Questions? Maybe they'll let us have a break. Oh, yeah, after this.
Hi there. I was just curious, the projections that you gave for the number of connected or number of M2M in the future, what was your source for that data, or how did you arrive at it?
You know, I was actually looking, I had actually deleted it by accident. I'm going to have to come back to you on that,
Okay.
where that came from. But I do have it,
sessions.
yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. Before the next session starts, we'll just have 5 minutes break, and we'll change over then we'll proceed with the next session. Thank you.